Tool shopping! Yay! Hey guys, thank you again for watching and thank you for tuning in to my channel. In today's episode, we're going to this part store to get some paint supplies. Yes, paint supplies. We're in the home stretch now, folks. We're supposed to start prepping the car for paint. So we're talking about mudding and we're talking about like some probably sanding paper and stuff. We might end up getting as well the paint. Now I'm not gonna get the whole paint, probably I'm just gonna get a spray can paint. I've already got the code for the car paint, so I'm just gonna go get it over there. Okay, let's stay tuned. I'm gonna put you on time lapse just so that we can go over there and we'll have a look at it. Okay. Okay, so now that we made it, we got the basic supplies that we need. I've got the masking tape, I've got the plastic applicator for the putty, and I ended up getting this putty. Lightweight car filler. It should do the job. Wax and grease remover, sanding blocks, sanding paper, primer, and basic blue color. Why basic? Why I'm not going with the code? Because this is the one that we're actually going to use inside under the trunk lid, so it's going to be from the inside, so I couldn't care less if it matches or not. That's number one. Number two, I'm actually planning to change the whole color altogether, so I'm not too worried about the color being matched or not. Super Cheap Auto is the place to be when you need to get yourself some supplies for the car. Let's pay them, grab some rags as well, and head home. See you guys. Will you look at that? I've got a bucket full of goodies. I've got them all in. Everything that I need except for the rags. They didn't have the rags that I want, so I guess I'm just gonna eBay it. Let's head home, folks. So guys, now that we returned home and we got all the tools or the equipment that we need for our paint, starting with the bucket, we've got the primer. Now I ended up getting this primer filler, because basically this is the one that you need to spray after you put the filler on, and you need to sand it as well, so to make it more smooth. I got this paint. It's just standard blue. Now if you look at the car, it doesn't match, but it's almost there. Why I couldn't care less about the code? Two reasons. Number one, I'm gonna paint the trunk lid from the inside, so it's gonna be basically from underneath, not being seen to the public as much, so it doesn't really matter. Number two, I'm gonna paint the whole car anyways, so I'm not too fussed about the color code. And the final one, which is the one that really got me, let me just put it this way. This one cost me $24. All right, it's just a standard paint. It does the job just fine. Okay, and this is the code if you want the code. Okay, the actual paint that goes on this car, because they managed to search it based on the year, the model, and pretty much everything. This one requires 2 coats of paint, which is the standard blue. Then after that, they need to put some metallic flake kind of blue. So in order for me to buy just a spray can like that, it'll end up costing me easy $80. So I thought about it, $80 is just not worth the hassle. Yep, just the standard blue will do the job. I've got this filler. I had some good reviews about this one. I've just Googled it and it does have like good reviews. For the price, only $11. Worth giving a shot. We've got the sanding foam or sanding blocks. It's basically like a sanding block, like an actual sanding block, and they do come with the different grits. You've got the 60, 80, and 150. So it's like a sanding block, but because it's a foamy thing, which means it just shapes and takes the shape or the contour of the part that we're trying to sand. Remember guys, we're trying to sand this area, and you can see its shape, like how it's curvy over here. A standard sanding block, because it's going to be like firm, it's not going to do the job properly, so it'll end up sanding this area or that area more than the middle. I need something that goes all the way. Okay, and we've got the wax and grease removal as well, and some sanding paper and zip ties. Why I got zip ties? It's just beyond me. I don't know, but hey, you never know. You always need zip ties, especially when it comes to JDM DIYs. There's always a zip tie somewhere. And we've got those plastic applicators. This is the one that you use when you apply the filler, and how to shape it up. Okay. For those who've been asking and nagging about the gloves, I bought the gloves and I posted that on Instagram. It's gonna take some time to get the gloves in. I ended up using the normal kitchen white gloves that I got at the moment. For those who asked about the update on the trunk lid, let me just put it this way, guys. It worked like amazing. Look at it. I removed the tape. Remember the tape that I had? I removed it. And it's hard. It is strong. And it's exactly the shape of the trunk. So all what I need to do, just a bit of sanding. Maybe I'll apply some glazing putty or just a filler. Then just sand it again. Slight primer, and you're good to go. Which leaves us with this one. This is the problematic one on both sides. Why? Because I don't have an opening from the other side in order to apply it, so the only way for me to apply it is actually from the outside. And I don't know how's that gonna go, because if you're gonna put the epoxy or that material, I think most likely gravity will do its job, so it's gonna fall inside. I need to think about an ingenious way to do it. From the other side, if you look at it, yeah, it may not be perfect, but it doesn't matter, because who's gonna see it anyways? Plus this area, all of it is gonna be painted anyway, so I'm not too fussed about it. Let's get back to this one. So here's what we're gonna do. Since we're gonna work on this side, and if we have enough time, we might actually work on this one as well. You see this scratch? It's a bit deep. That gouge is a bit deep. I would need to remove these plastic trims, probably the door handle as well, in order to sand this one a bit, apply some filler, and prime it up, and that should be all good. Now, according to YouTube, the most reliable source, what you need to do first, sand this area, prep solid or wax grease remove it, just to ensure that the area is completely clean. Apply the filler. Once you apply the filler, start sanding it. And once you sand it, it starts taking shape and it covers up all the gouges. This is the best that we can do to fix it up. And that's why the only way to get it all smooth as the other side, let's just say, which is basically smooth as smooth gets, you would need to use some filler, prime it, sand it again just to make sure that it's smooth. Then after that, just apply the paint. Now, I'm not going to apply the paint now because I still don't know if I'm going to go with the original paint, this blue / metallic one, or I'm just going to go with the standard blue. Because either ways, it does need paint. So let's think about that. I'll prep this area. So I'll remove the trims from the inside. I'll remove the tail light, which you guys already seen how to do that in the previous episodes. And once that is done, that gives me a clear area over here so that we can work on. I got some masking tape as well in order to mask this area, because I don't want the whole primer and sanding to expand all over. Not when it's not necessary, at least. And we'll take it from there, okay? All right, quick update. I think I got it. I think I got the hang of it. As you can clearly see, the trunk is upside down. There's a reason for that. There's the reason behind the madness. So humor me. I had it the normal way. I applied the epoxy or the Chinese thingy over here, and once I did, I put the tape on top, the masking tape on top, and both ends. Once that is done, what happened is I created some sort of a barrier. Once I flipped it up, gravity did its job, so all the epoxy basically is heading down. And because it's heading down, and I've got this masking tape, it's gonna stick. Genius, no? All right, back to this. As you can clearly tell, tail light is gone, masked from the inside. I use the plastic wrap to mask it up because most likely once I'm done with this, it's going to be a lot of sanding on the floor and everywhere. I don't want it to be inside. And once I do the primer is going to be sprayed all over the place. I don't want it to go inside. This is the area that we need to work on. Let's start with sanding and we'll go from there, okay? All right, guys. I'm going to give this one a go. This is the Ryobi Dremel tool. So basically I'll put the hardest grit that I got. I think this is 80 grit or something, and I'm gonna use this tool to sand that area over there. I'm gonna put you in a time lapse and see whether I'm gonna be successful or it's a complete failure, okay? Not bad for a tiny tool. Look, just sanded it properly. Now, why am I using this one? Because I actually do not have a sander, so I'm gonna have to make do with whatever that I got. But not bad, not bad. Now, this is the major things that I needed to be sanded out. What I'm going to do with the rest is basically I'm just gonna use a sanding paper just to sand it out. I'll use a heavy sander like an 80 grit or 100 grit, whatever that I've got over here. I'll sand it out, then we'll start the putty process, okay? Will you look at that? The sanding block did an amazing job. Look at it. Look how the area, all of it is just sanded purely correct. Everything. And FYI, I didn't use Windex. I used just water with some soap. Okay, so I just had to put it in a Windex bottle. There you go. So this is the bare metal. Now, as you can see, I've used the sanding block, but you can see like some coloration, like different colors. This is the bare metal, this is some Bondo or primer, and this is the actual blue. You know what that means? That means this area is basically bumpy. It's not smooth. That's why we need to use the filler in order to make it all smooth. Okay? Now, let's have a look at this. This is the body filler, and according to the directions, basically it says, I don't know if you can see it or not, let's just put it out there so that you can see it. Grind, yada yada yada, mix 1 part hardener to 50 part filler. So 50 to 1, basically that's the ratio. I'll use this plastic thingy to do it because I don't have a sanding, what do you call it, a filler, I don't know, what do you call it? Yeah, anyways, you know what I mean. I'll use this one, mix it up and start applying, okay? I would say this is 50 to 1. Not bad, not bad. I prepped the area with Prepsol or wax and grease removal. I'm gonna mix it up thoroughly. Now, according to how I've seen it on YouTube, basically you just need to make sure to like this. Yeah, the idea is you need to ensure that it gets mixed properly, and not just only that, no air bubble. So you just need to scoop it up and spread it like that. Scoop, spread, scoop and spread. As you do that, you're getting it mixed properly. As you can see, the color is changing. Now it's going to be unified. That basically a good indicator that it is getting thoroughly mixed. And you see how I'm scooping it and spreading it properly. Now, because I'm spreading it, you see the air bubbles? I want to get rid of all the air bubbles in it because this will be a bit annoying when you just sand it out. You need even spread all over. Make sure to wear masks because this thing stinks big time. Okay? Okay, as you can clearly see, at this stage it does look horrible. Now, this is the first time that I've actually done it, so I think I've done it right. but it doesn't really matter if it looks horrible or not, because at the end of the day, like I said, you're gonna have to sand it. So we're gonna have to properly sand it, and after we're done with the sanding it, we're gonna apply some primer, then wet sand it. Then at the end of the day, it's gonna look good and contoured the whole corner and everything. I'll leave it till dry, then after that I'll start with the sanding process and see how that goes, okay? All right, quick update on how to remove this trim from over here. Now, why do we need to remove it? Well, basically because we need to work on this side as well. So technically, we need to ensure that there is no plastic in the way. How to remove it? It's actually pretty straightforward. You see this plastic over here? And this one basically is supposed to be like that. Underneath, if you push back, there should be a screw. You just need to remove this screw from over here, and basically that will allow you to remove this side, okay? On the other side, there's another screw that's supposed to be here. You see this white thingy? Yep. This is where the screw over here. And once you do that, keep in mind, it's not something that you need to lift. You don't lift it up, you slide it to the side. Slide it to the side, it gets out. You see those plastic thingies? These are the ones that actually hold it in place, so you just need to remove them as well. And there you go. You have access to the whole door. Easy. Now, exactly like what happened in the back of the car, the corner. We've sanded this one, and once we're done with the sanding it, we put the wax and grease removal, cleaned it all up, and applied a fresh coat of filler. Again, it may look rough, but don't worry about it. At the end of the day, once it dries, which the recommended time is 20 minutes, once it dries, you can just wet sand it, and that will basically bring it all smooth, as if there is no damage. Remember, this is inside, so this is something that you're not gonna be able to see. Once this one is done and primed, the paint will cover it, so it'll look as if nothing happened here before, for those who've never done car paint or car repair. As you can clearly tell, you can see the difference in color between this part and that part, because this the part that I forgot, I didn't actually pay attention to, so I applied another coat over here. But this one, yep, see, it's dry. I mean, it's still sticky or tacky just a bit, but it's enough for you to touch, so it's dry to touch. I'll give it extra time just to be safe, because you don't want it to be gooey when you wet sand it. When it's gooey, that means it's not properly stick, or it may mean that you didn't put enough hardener. Now, I made sure to put enough hardener in it, so hopefully everything should be all right. I'll give it extra time, then I'll start wet sanding both sides, okay? So after sanding and wet sanding and another wet sanding, check it out. Look at it. The camera focus. Just want to point out something. You see how it's to the corners, like on the edges? You see how it's feathering away? If you just put your hand and just move all around, it's smooth and it feels like this is the natural shape of this corner. There is no bumps, there is no in, there is no out. And how to know that? If you look at it carefully, you'll see like in some areas, you can clearly see through the filler. You know what that means? That basically means this area is actually high. This area is low. And because it's low, the filler is basically covered it up. And because this area, the blue one, is high, whatever the filler that had over there is just simply gone. That's why you do not need to push. You don't need to put all your force on it. Just let it slide, let it smooth. Like slight pressure on it and let it move. And that's it. See, remember when I told you put more? Because eventually you're gonna sand it out. This is what we ended up with. It's perfect. And this is basically the door. Similarly, the same thing. Smooth and feathered out all the way to the corners. That's why technically it's matched up with the paint. So if you just put your hand, it just moves smoothly as it should. Now, mind you, it still needs a bit more sanding, but looking at it, for a rookie, it's near damn perfect. Heck, I'll take that all the time. Now, a bit more sanding, just to touch it up. Once done, we'll mask it up and we'll put some primer on top. Keep in mind, the primer also sandable. So once you put the primer on, you still need to do a bit of a sanding, but you're not gonna use the high grids. You'll use probably like 200 grit or 300 grit, I think. Let's see how that goes, okay? Alright, the car is basically ready for primer. As you can see, all masked up so that the areas that I don't want it to get painted, it's not gonna get painted. And this is the other side, there you go. It's always good to put extra space. It's not like I'm planning to paint all the way here, but it's good to actually have it extra in case if there is a, what do you call it, extra paint coming off. I've done wet and grease removal. And now it's time to go with the primer. How it works? I guess we just need to spray it. And this is the other side. Don't want to go overboard, but yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. I'll just let it dry and it should be ready for another round of sanding. Look at it. I don't know if you can see. You see how smooth in this area, then it's a bit rough over here? That's because this is the putty. This is the filler over here. So I'm just gonna let it dry just a bit, and then apply another coat on it. Then we should be good to go. Quick update. Look at it. Look, you see this area? This is basically I didn't apply enough primer. Couldn't get less because this area is not damaged, so I'm not too fussed about it. You see the overspray? That's why we put masking tape in order to avoid the overspray. But look at this area. Look how smooth and clean. You see, you can clearly see that there's a small dent over here. I might need to put some filler on top just so that we can mask it up. But in terms of corner wise, it's damn near perfect. And this is the other side. See? Perfect. Apply another coat. Then I'll let it sit for overnight. Probably next week I'll start sanding it, okay? Alright folks, now we're towards the end of the video for today because it's gonna get long and longer and longer, and I still need to get the whole primer and let it dry. As you can see, everything is perfect, and you can clearly tell how my garage is fully loaded with pretty much everything. Probably next video is gonna be sanding the primer and getting on with, I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Until I see you next time, make sure to subscribe, like, and share it, okay? Yalla.